We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.
Hi, and welcome to the Book Beat. This is Jean-Noel Bassior, and this is our new show called the Book Beat. We had kind of a trial run last week, had a few technical problems, so I'm going to recap some of the stuff that we were talking about. But basically, the Book Beat has two purposes. We want you to find a really good read. So every week we're going to interview a couple of authors who have written great books that you should know about. But more than that, if you are thinking of writing a book, and who isn't these days, because anybody can, it's become so easy, as my first guest, EllenReid, is going to confirm. If you are thinking of writing a book, every show we're going to have an expert on who's going to give you a little piece of the puzzle. So we're going to learn about book formatting, cover design, what's the difference between print formatting and ebook formatting. Should you self-publish or try still? There still is a mainstream out there. They at least they think it's out there. Well, a lot of us know better, but there still is the remnants of mainstream out there. So we're going to talk about that. And I do want to spend just a couple of opening minutes of the show on what's happening in the self-publishing world and this question of should you self-publish or go mainstream. And then we'll get to my first, my expert guest this show, EllenReid, and she's known as the Book Shepherd, and she has been guiding self-published authors through publishing on their own and creating their own publishing company for a long time. She was like a pioneer out there, and she's known for excellence. So she was a great guest to have. She's my first expert ever. But let's talk for a minute. If you're thinking of writing a book, should you go mainstream, that is, get a publisher like Simon & Schuster or Hay House or a small traditional publisher, maybe like New World Library? Should you go to the effort of trying to beat down the doors and write a book proposal and get an agent? And that, of course, is the way it's been done for many years. And all of that has kind of fallen apart in the last few years, in the last maybe 10 years, and it's just falling apart more and more as we speak. I used to coach people in how to write book proposals, and you needed a book proposal to find an agent. And so I saw many authors struggle with writing a book proposal, and it almost made it. And there was a certain kind of rejection letter that would come, and the editor or the agent would say, "I really love your book. It's so great, but I'm going to have to pass on it because it's just not quite right for me at this time." So I saw it was actually, there's a form rejection letter that says that. And so many authors who had such good ideas and just couldn't make it through the gatekeepers. Today, with self-publishing, what's happened is technology has come into the picture, and it's like, to me, the invention of the printing press. It's a revolution, and now information can be shared in a totally new way, and it's all about the information. That's what it's about, and anyone can do it. Here's a 6-year-old kid who wrote a book, and he's already made about $92,000 from it. And the reason he wrote it was because he had a little playmate who had a very serious disease, and he wanted to raise some money for medical research. And so what he did was he wrote a book. And he and his friend had a phrase called "It's so chocolate bar." And they did that when they liked something. And he illustrated his book, and he wrote a book, and he has illustrations of the things that were so chocolate bar to him and his friends. And so he's 6 years old, and he has a book. So if you think you can't do it, then you can, because even a 6-year-old can write a book today. Okay, so I want to turn to my first guest, EllenReid, who was a pioneer in self-publishing from the very beginning. So, hi, Ellen. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you so much. Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome. So you have been doing this for a long time.
Yes.
Okay. And one of the things that I know you do, if I have this right, is now when somebody wants to self-publish, you show them, you walk them through everything, right? You guide them through all the steps. And don't you show them like how to set up their own publishing company sort of?
Yes.
Yeah. Talk about that. How do you do that? Kind of walk us through what somebody needs.
Well, it really depends on what they want to do.
Okay.
For example, you can always go to CreateSpace. One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the difference between somebody who doesn't understand how to produce a book and decides to go to the print-on-demand house and just uses a template.
Right.
And someone who comes to somebody like me to hire a team of creative experts in
Right.
order to do it right.
So-
Editor, cover designer, interior designer, etc. And then after that, you can still upload to CreateSpace. I want to be sure people know that.
Right.
You
Now
can
let's
still do
define
that.
CreateSpace because we're going to define, make sure people know what we're talking about. CreateSpace is a print on demand, right?
Owned by Amazon.
Right, right,
And it's not expensive to do it.
right.
And I have a very good friend who did it, and the book looked terrible.
Yeah.
And she came to me and she said, "What happened?" I said, "How did you do it?" She said, "I just used the template." But she didn't know what she was doing because that's not her business.
Right. And also I
So-
saw something that had been edited by CreateSpace. I counted 14 errors on one page.
Right. But here's the thing. Because indie publishing and self-publishing is easy, people think that they can do it by themselves. But I always say it's like trying to be a disc jockey if you've never learned how to cue up music. Just because it's easy doesn't mean that you can do the right thing. And that's the reason people like me exist. But it's still easy, and you can still do it. But you need somebody to hold your hand through the process. And so what I do with my clients is I suggest that they start their own indie press by naming their press something. Like my indie press is called Little Moose Press. And I print offset, which is traditional, and digital for some trade paperbacks, and then an ebook. And now we're doing enhanced ebooks where there's sound behind it and things that move. So the industry is just gloriously exciting right now.
Right, right. So I can just say I'm A1 Publishing, and then that's my publishing house, right?
Well, you can't just say that. And I want
Okay.
to show you something. This is a woman that came to me years ago, and she had written a book, and it's called Before and After, What to Do When Someone Dies. Sorry about the topic. But anyway, she came to me, and she had done this, and she did the copyright page, and I said to her, "What's this?" And she said, "It's the Library of Congress control number." And I said, "Where'd you get the information?" She said, "I saw it in a book, and I copied it."
Oh, no.
But you can't do that.
She
You have
copied
to-
another book?
No, and she thought it was
Yeah.
so easy. She would just
Yeah.
do it like that. But you can't do that. You have to get
Oops.
ISBN numbers, Library of Congress control numbers. You have
Right.
to get publishers' cataloging and publication numbers. It's not hard to do
Yeah.
that at all. It's not expensive.
Yeah, so people don't know these things sometimes.
But anyway, so she came to me, and before she had it like this, can you see it? And then afterward, it looks like this.
Oh, what a difference.
And it's a different size, 6x9. The front cover and the back cover are totally different.
Now, the old one is that one, right? And this new
And
one,
this is the new one.
which looks more like a book.
It is a book,
Yeah.
and it has all the right numbers. So
Good.
that's that. And then the other girl that I worked with, Julie Raboa, is she has a lot of products, and she came to me and she said, "I can't get distribution. I've self-published. I have a lot of great products for kids, and I can't get distributed, and I don't know why." So what I said to her was, "Let me see the book," and so she has all these black and white illustrations. Were cute. They were very, very cute. But no distributor really wanted it. So I hired a woman we know who's a terrific interior designer. And that ABC book turned into this.
Oh, wow.
And this ABC book has a hardcover. And inside are the same exact illustrations, only colorized. And the fonts change.
Yeah, beautiful.
I'm trying to make a case for having an expert help you.
Yeah.
It's not like she didn't write it correctly. She didn't illustrate it correctly, but she didn't know the nuances of what she needed to do.
Because there's a lot of bad self-published books out there.
That's because people think they can do it themselves.
Right, right.
And they really, for the most part, they can't, which doesn't mean that they have to go the traditional print route. They don't have to print thousands of copies offset. They can still do it with digital press. When I started in 1997, 98, I was a protege of Dan Poynter, who wrote a book called The Self-Publishing Manual.
Yeah, he was really out there in front, wasn't he?
He still is.
Exactly.
And I learned from him. And he said, "We're going to go out and we're going to look at the digital press," because the digital press was a press where it was like a glorified Xerox machine, but they cost millions of dollars. The point I want to make is that these print-on-demand houses, which are Lulu, CreateSpace, Blurb, all the ones that are out there now, are using the same digital presses that they used before, except they're putting their imprint on it, and they're taking a percentage of the sale.
Right.
that's
And you're
the
paying
difference.
for a lot of services that are not that great because it's a print-on-demand company.
Right.
And what I've discovered is, I mean, I'm not going to say that none of them are any good because sometimes they do have, their strengths and their weaknesses. But what I find is they have these packages that they pad. So, for example, you were talking about CreateSpace. I mean, you can pay. I think their basic package starts at $700 or something, but if you pay CreateSpace for an editing job and you pay something like $700 to a couple of thousand, it's going to be it's probably not going to be good. So you'd be better off to hire an expert, right? Somebody.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's the reason why I'm in business.
Yeah.
Because I really help people save money.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you hire a creative team individually and you can print digitally with a printer, not CreateSpace, not on demand, but a printer, you can actually do things like this. This is a Hollywood actor. His name is Rick Lenz, and he wrote a book called North of Hollywood. And it's a fabulous book. He actually was acting with Goldie Hawn in Cactus Flower, and it's a memoir. And he wanted to get it out there. So what we did is we got the cover designer to do this gorgeous cover.
And it looks like a book you'd find in the bookstore.
Well, exactly.
I mean, yeah.
That's why I'm the expert on excellence.
Right.
But anyway, so I said, let's do something with the Hollywood sign. But he didn't just take a picture of the Hollywood sign, which you could get. He created this. Can you all see this? It's really gorgeous. And we put a little embossing on it. And now it's available in distribution. He didn't print on demand. He didn't print a lot of copies either, but he printed enough so that he could get it done using offset printing. But the name of his company is called Chromadroid Press, which is his imprint.
Right.
He's an artist too. And I tell people to get a P.O. box, but don't ever go to the post office. Go to a local UPS store. My address is 269 South Beverly Drive, but it's not a space. And they take my mail. The reason I like that is because I don't want anybody to come to my house, and I don't think publishers should have people come to their houses. But on the other hand, you need a physical address so that your mail can come. You don't have to be home all the time. And that's the address that you use when you sign up for the ISBN number, the Library of Congress number, the publisher's catalog. And you are a real bona fide publisher then.
So when you get the ISBN number and you start to put your book together, you just do you have to get a certain kind of ISBN number if you're the publisher? Is it different from if it's the same one, isn't it?
$125 for one ISBN,
right.
$250 for 10.
For 10, right.
So
for
don't
Bowker.
get 2, get 10.
Yeah.
And the reason is you want one for the hardcover, one for the trade paperback, one for the Kindle ebook, one for the Smashwords. I don't know if everybody knows what Smashwords is.
Why don't you explain what Smashwords is?
It's a distributor for ebooks. So, for example, I want my clients to be everywhere. So you can get Rick's book with any device, a Nook, a Kindle Fire. It doesn't make any difference. Smashwords is a distributor for that. And if you put Chromadroid Press there and upload it by converting, I don't want to confuse people, you have to convert the print file into a digital file, and there are people who can do that, and it's not expensive.
And I wanted to ask you about that because these are the things that somebody like you, a book shepherd, kind of guides people through, right? Because let's go through the steps that you need for a self-published book. So the first thing is content, right? You want to have good content?
The first thing I do is read the manuscript.
Yeah.
To get me, you have to have written it already.
Okay.
But it doesn't have to be finished, because what I want to do is find out who you are, what you want to do with the book, who you are as an expert, or if you're writing fiction, how you're going to go out and promote yourself, so that I can hire a copywriter like you to help to do the title, the subtitle, the back cover, the book description, which can go on Amazon, the about the author.
So you're thinking of packaging right from the beginning, aren't you?
Right from the beginning. That's the key to success, really. And then I talk to the author about that, and we talk about budget, and we discuss what he's going to do with, or she's going to do with the book. And then once we agree, then the first thing I do is hire a copywriter, because generally the titles that they come up with, they ask their friends and family.
Right.
And
it's all good. The family loves it. That's the best title I've ever seen.
I have a client whose book is called Cutting Through the Numbers. And it's a wonderful series of books. And I hired a copywriter, and we both read the book and we discussed it. And now the title is called The Relevance of Reason. Rick Frischman talks about 4-word titles, and so nobody knew what Cutting Through the Numbers was, and now The Relevance of Reason has a subtitle, then there's a series. I get really deep. I guess you could liken me to the person inside the big house.
Right.
Now, you can talk about that.
And by big house,
Jean-Noel.
you don't mean the big house.
No,
but
I
you
mean publishing
Right.
companies. Publishing
Exactly,
companies.
because that's the process I was going to say. Because if you do go through a mainstream publisher,
Right.
Now they consider that they have a very high standard, and they do, of excellence. And you're trying to recreate this.
I do
in the
recreate that,
You do,
yeah.
in the self-published world.
Right.
So a lot of times, like one of the best stories I heard about Tidal was Bantam had a book that wasn't selling too well, and it was called 4 Days in the Life of So-and-so, and it wasn't selling very well. So then they changed it to 4 Nights in the Life of So-and-so, and it started really selling. So titles go through that screening process, and editors, they have meetings, and they change the titles, and you're doing kind of a lot of
Do
that.
the same thing.
The same thing.
It's like,
Right.
I come from the advertising world years ago.
Yeah, so
We used to have shirt sleeve sessions, and the client would come in. The problem with self-published authors today is they don't have an advertising budget. They can't hire an ad agency. There's no we don't even
So
advertise.
what should they do?
They come to somebody like me to help them produce their book with the right title, subtitle, back cover, instead of trying to agonize through it alone without knowing what sells, what doesn't sell, and how to do it. For example, The Relevance of Reason, we must have gone through 25 titles and subtitles and mixed and matched and did
Right.
the whole thing.
Right.
And then we hired a cover designer, and the cover is so gorgeous. It's just amazing. I mean, there's a whole bunch of different cover designers, and I handpick them for the client. And the client is always involved in all decision making, except the difference is they don't go to the cover designer and say, I have a client that had a book called Lemonade 101, and she hired me, and we call it Lemons, Lemonade, and Life.
Right.
I think you know
Janet
Thomas.
Yeah.
And she didn't know how to make that happen. And so we went to the cover designer, and he did something really beautiful. Instead of a lemonade stand, he did a gorgeous piece of lemon with the colors and everything.
Right.
She's doing incredibly well.
Right.
And
So
that's the difference.
you know these things that the average person who's writing their first book doesn't really know, and even if they're second or third. But so basically, you're kind of doing what the publishing house really does, right? You're the agent, the publishing house.
Not agent.
Well, we don't need an agent anymore because that's their jobs are kind of going by the wayside. But what I mean is, you're doing kind of the job of all these different people that someone used to have to go through.
Well, the problem with the big publishing houses is that the client author doesn't have much of a say. In the case of working with me, you have every say.
That's a big difference.
It's
because,
huge because a lot of my clients are they love their book, and they should, and they want to be totally involved in every step. So I really love it. I love them, and I love the work, and I'm going to do it forever. I hope so anyway.
Yeah.
I have my own book called Putting Your Best Book Forward, A Book Shepherd's Secrets to Producing Award-Winning Books That Sell. And what I did is I had it produced so that there's embossing on it, and there's foil stamping, just as like an example of what can be done with self-publishing. Then I have color inside
that's
of
nice.
the various books
Yeah.
that I've done, just a few, and I've done.
Does it add a lot to the cost to put color?
Not anymore.
Not anymore.
Well, if you print them, right now, Lightning Source does color inside. The Kindle Fire does color inside. And if you do ebooks with color inside, it doesn't cost a lot more. If you print books with color inside, I just did a coffee table book that's 4-color, and it was expensive because they wanted 5,000 copies, but the book is gorgeous. So, but the ebook is going to be enhanced. So it just depends. What does anybody want?
It's all changing, yeah.
And
rapidly,
then we can help on all levels.
Right. And how do people reach you and get in touch with you?
Ellen at indiebookexpert.com. ELLEN at INDIE bookexpert.com. My website is indiebookexpert.com, of course. And I'm easy to reach. I'm available, and I love to talk to everybody.
So if they just call, you'll just give them a consultation, right? Is that
free
how you work?
30-minute on the phone?
Oh,
initial,
yeah.
absolutely.
That's
My pleasure.
That's really good. So I know we're going to go to break now. Thank you so much for being our first expert on
You're
the show.
welcome. I've enjoyed it.
Please contact Ellen. She was out there when I was still going like there's only a mainstream. There's nothing else. Yeah, everybody remembers those days. And you were a pioneer in this work. So congratulations. The world has caught up to you at last.
Thank you, Jean-Noel. Thank you.
Okay. So we are going to be joined in our next segment by Maurice DiMino, and he is the Sicilian mentor. And he is going to tell you how to put a great presentation together and how to get out there and speak about your book or your product. He's an expert in that, and he'll be joining us in studio next segment, so stay tuned. This is The Book Beat. We're on LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
Young Connection, your one-stop connection for all your graphic design and commercial printing needs. Young Connection is a full-service printing and media design company dedicated to providing the highest level of customer service and satisfaction. Young Connection provides swift response and rapid turnaround services for banners, brochures, business cards, letterheads, church bulletins, funeral programs, flyers, logo design, posters, and much, much more, all at an affordable price. Young Connection, the official printing company of LA Talk Live. Give them a call at 310-491-3336. That's 310-491-3336, or visit their website at www.youngconnection.com. That's www.youngconnection.com. Young Connection Printing and Media Services, proud sponsors of LA Talk Live, where it's more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dr. Levi, your fitness doctor, making a personal house call, inviting you to join me Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific for my all-new show, The Dr. Levi Show. Join us as we discuss fitness, health, and well-being, including emotional and spiritual health. So don't forget to tune in to The Dr. Levi Show every Wednesday at 10 a.m. Pacific, exclusively on latalklive.com and the Talk Live Broadcast Network. You can also catch us on iTunes, Radio R&B, or watch us on Ustream.tv, or catch us on the Live 365 network, and now on Radio Flag and Stitcher Radio. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, and welcome back to The Book Beat. That music, by the way, that bumper music is composed by my brother, Rick Fleischman of Visual Music Service. So if you need music for anything like a show, or he does a lot of TV and film work, just contact Visual Music Service. So I want to tell you about my second guest here, and this is Maurice DiMino. And I want to read you the whole title of his book. He's called The Sicilian Mentor.
That's right.
Now listen to the title: The Art of Public Speaking, How to Kill from the Stage. Sicilian Mentor: How to Kill from the Stage Using Award-Winning Money-Making Presentation Skills with Confidence, Character, and Charisma. And I'm thinking like Sopranos. Is this like you got to go out there and speak or else, or is this?
Well, no, I come from the background. The Sicilian thing is about being passionate. Hollywood's given us the whole, putting contracts on people, but I want to talk about the passion, especially when it talks about communication. So that's what the Sicilian Mentor is about: passion.
Oh, it's about passion.
It's
okay,
about
I never
passion.
got that piece of it. Okay,
Yeah.
Great. So we'll talk about that. I mean, do most people not connect with that passion when they go out there to speak, or is that what you find?
Well, I find that again, even to this day, that the number one skill to have, which is communication skills, even what we're doing right now, people are still fearful about it. And how do you, even with a simple message, how are you going to go to convey it, even if it's one-on-one? I'm not even talking about getting on the stage or anything. At Starbucks, around the dining room table, how do we go about communicating with each other if we're not confident or if we're not clear with our message? And I do believe that if you have to have that number one skill, communication skills, be it public speaking, one-on-one, so that you can communicate your wants, needs, and desires, even in difficult times. And that's what I find that very interesting in today's world. I mean, even what we're doing right now, there's a certain skill to it. And if we could just know little tips, techniques, it will move us so far forward much faster than we could ever expect before.
So how do we get that skill?
Well, I come from a big background that I've invested in myself. I went to top trainers. One of my best trainers was Les Brown, one of the top motivational speakers.
I interviewed him once, yeah.
Is a fantastic speaker, yes?
Yeah, I did a story on him for Science of Mind, yeah.
And if you would ever ask him, okay, look, I want to do the speaking thing. What should I do? And he looked at me and he said one word, Maurice, practice. And that's what I'm going to suggest to everybody here at LA Talk Live, is that even in family situations, they sell this thing that's very interesting. It's called the cell phone cage, where you put all your cell phones in, you lock up your cell phones, and you put it off to the side so that families could actually communicate with each other.
What a concept!
It is a concept. I remember one time I was in New York City, and I thought, oh my gosh, look at the table next to me. They're so religious, right? They're all sitting there with their hands, with their heads bowed.
Right.
And what it was is you just see they're like backlit because they're all texting at the same time.
I mean, that's now even more common, right?
It's ridiculous. So I really want people to go out there and communicate their message.
So step away from the cell phone.
Put down the cell phone, step away from the cell phone, and start talking to each other. Plain and simple.
Wow. So in other words, are you saying that if you have a book or a film or a product and you want to share the message, get the message out there, that to start, at home or with your friends, or how would you go about it?
You bring a good point. We just had Ellen Shepherd, the book shepherd up here. Right. EllenReid, the book shepherd, about having a book, having a movie, whatever. The only way that's going to get across, and I'm not just talking about even the sales of it. I mean, even just to get people interested in it, you have to open your mouth. You have to talk about it. So one way of doing it, and that's what this book's about, it shares with you a template so that you have something to follow, so that no matter, anytime you're thrown a curveball or someone says, hey, would you like to speak? Now the answer, after reading The Art of Public Speaking, is the answer to that question is yes, I would love to speak about my book, my movie, my concept, my charity, my petition. And now by following a template, now what I say is that it puts you at ease, so that now you have a simple follow through, so that every time you are asked that question, you could present a message in a clear, concise way and bring them, as I like to call it, on this verbal journey.
Hold your book up.
Yeah, definitely. It's the Art of Public Speaking, as you notice, with a very long subtitle.
Yeah, which is good. I mean, it is a great subtitle.
Definitely, yeah. I got it all in one place. Or I like to say, How to Kill from the Stage with Confidence, Character, and Charisma.
Well, when I was in Sicily years ago, we hitchhiking around, and we asked the guy we were hitchhiking with, we heard about the mafia. It's kind of in Sicily. Is that really true? And he said, no, it's not true at all.
Not true at all.
No.
But be careful.
Yeah, How to Kill from the Stage. Okay, so are you saying that a lot of times we don't say yes when someone asks us? So the first thing is say yes to the opportunity.
I say from this point forward, for all our listeners out there and watchers out there, yes. Every time you're offered the opportunity, hey, would you like to discuss this at our networking group, at the Chamber of Commerce, at our church, at our synagogue, whatever, I want you to from now on say yes, because there's nothing more beautiful, more passionate than the spoken word, because I believe the spoken word not only transforms, it transcends. Mm-hmm. It's much more. They say that the pen is mightier than the sword. Well, the spoken word trumps it all. Mm-hmm. And I want people to go out there, and that I believe this, Jean-Noel, that everyone has a message written in their hearts that the world is waiting to hear. Mm. So I want people to go out there and speak from their heart.
So it sounds like you kind of make it okay for people to give themselves permission to do that?
Yeah, exactly right. In fact, I do this intensive twice a year, every spring and fall, and that's exactly what I allow people to do. In that 3-day period, you hit the nail right on the head. I give them permission to speak from their hearts. And it's I call it social debris, be it the family, upbringing, whatever, uncle, whatever it may be. We have all these things pushing us down that maybe our message is not worth it. Maybe this is not worth it, that our charity is not worth it. So in this process, by having the template, by having this free space, if you will, I allow people to speak from their hearts. And it's amazing. Even though I look at it as a work intensive, like we're here to work, it's amazing how it's life transforming. People finally get to release it. And what is Thoreau said, that the majority of people walk around with quiet desperation. Mm-hmm. And I feel what that desperation is that that message inside their hearts is being trapped and not let free.
That's true. We're kind of told somehow to suppress it, to not polite, or don't take up too much time and space for yourself, or if you've written a book, be modest about it, right? Instead of share the message, right?
I have to, for some reason, Suzanne Summers is in my head right now. Suzanne Summers says, if you got it, bump it with the trumpet. So that's what, that's what I got to, thank you, Suzanne.
That's good. Now, I know a lot of people teach different presentation skills, but what about you? Like, what's the method that you teach? Like, if someone wants to give a presentation, do you have like a format that you think works really well, or?
Well, I coined the phrase transactional presentation. In other words, I believe that with every presentation, and again, presentation could be one-on-one, in someone's living room, conference room, convention center. And I do believe that everyone, not so much persuasive, but there's a transaction that you want to create. It could be simply just getting people's emails or getting a signature on a petition, or quite simply, selling your book, selling your boot camp or what have you. So what I've devised is a template, a 26-point template to bring you through this process so it's painless, it's a plug and play. I'm not here to disturb anybody's content, but by following this template, you're going to bring these people on a verbal journey so that at the end of it, it naturally creates the transaction for you. So you can ultimately ask for the sale, and I like to say it's painless.
So the template, it's like you're walking them through kind of tiny steps. Like, give us a little bit of an example, like
Sure.
to get a feel.
Sure. Perfect example is, we traditionally, when people give presentations, they always start with, "Hello, my name is." Well, that's for everyone. That's
not
that's
a good idea.
Not a good idea. I want people to be Sicilian. I want people to be passionate. So we want to gain people's attention. We want to stand out from the crowd. Sure, it's a unique selling proposition or what have you. But again, we got to gain people's attention. We know that according to my research, 50% of the audience, they're already tuned out, even when you take the stage. So I want to cast the biggest net as possible.
That's good to know.
Yeah. So you want to cast the biggest net as possible. So you want to gain attention. So there's various ways of doing that. I say you could start with a question, a comment, or a quote. Then once you've done that, you go into your name and the name of the event. You thank your audience. You acknowledge the person that invited you there. Then you go into the way. This is something that I formulated. The way, W-A-Y. Who are you? Because what's happening is not only are people figuring why should they listen to you, but quite simply, why is this person standing in front of me?
Right.
So I want to address that question right away. So I tell you my zero to hero story. People love the underdog story. They love the phoenix rising from the ashes. So why not give the audience what they want?
So that's a personal story you talk about.
Personal stories. We see professionals doing. Anthony Robbins talks about living in his 600 square foot.
Washing the dishes in the bathtub.
Exactly,
right?
Washing the dishes in the bathtub in a
Yeah.
600 square foot Venice Beach apartment. Jack Canfield with his dysfunctional family. Les Brown, illegitimate child, bringing up by his Mammy Brown. We go through that, and the reason we go through that, quite simply, the psychology of the way, the who are you, is to let people know that you are a human being, that you're just like them. And what it triggers in people is that, oh my gosh, if Maurice can do it, if Jean-Noel can do it, so can I. And that's what the template does. My template allows people to have these little techniques, these little hooks, and they're already predetermined so they don't have to do it themselves. So it's really easy to use. And what you're going to do in return is you're going to get a lot of ROI, a lot of return on the investment, be it the investment in the book or the investment in the intensive. In other words, I have clients that have gone on and they've made so much more money because they're using the template in a very strategic way. So they endear the audience to them. They open up the audience's mind to their product or service. And then at the end of it, they create that transaction. People are investing their product or service.
So this is for people who might be speaking about a product or a service or a book or a film, right? Is it the same basic template that they kind of fill in the blanks with?
Exactly.
It's customized.
I always say it's for a product, service, or charity. Because I even have nonprofits that use it for their charities, raising money, even simply getting signatures on a petition. Oh, and if I may add, even for inspirational speakers, a lot of inspirational speakers say, "Oh, that's not for me. I want to change. I want to change the world." Well, you know what kind of transaction that is? That's a total buy-in.
So it's okay to start out talking about yourself, right?
Yeah, as long as you don't do, as I said, as long as you don't do what the "hello, my name is." I really want people to move away from that.
Story that the
oh yeah,
zero
definitely.
to hero.
I definitely. People want to hear that.
Right.
People want to hear that the zero to hero, the underdog story, and what it builds in people is that how they're looking at it, they're going to say, "Oh, well, if they can do it, so can I."
So then, do you want to? At some point, do you get into the "what's in it for me" for the audience? And what about involving the audience?
Oh, the template is designed. Beautiful point, Jean-Noel. The template is designed to be interactive. We have gone past the days of standing on a soapbox and just pontificating to people, just speaking to people. We have to entertain them. Yes, we have to inform them as well as feels entertained. So even with the way the story, your storytelling, so you're getting them involved in that way. Then yes, you're right. Then we give them, like I like to call it, instead of what's in it for me, I say what's in it for them. The WIIFT.
That's what I mean.
Yeah, so it's the table of contents. So, and the psychology, I don't want to get too deep right now, but the psychology, and it's in my book, it creates open loops. It creates open loops, or open loops in the brain, in that the brain cannot function with open loops. So what it does is you create this open loop in the audience's mind that they will stay throughout your talk, because they want to hear, oh, you made mention of that at the beginning. Oh, I want to hear about how to create a bookstore that generates dollars. So they'll stay to the end.
So it's just kind of like foreshadowing in a way.
Definitely foreshadowing.
In writing, we call it, kind of dropping a hint of something. Like stay tuned,
Stay tuned.
It's coming.
It's coming, and psychologically, you're planting people in the seats, and you're keeping them there, and you create that air of mystery, like to use your example, and that it does create interest. And then throughout, then we go into the body. We have golden nuggets, and it's very interactive. My whole template is my new thing right now is this. I want to create the theater of the mind in the audience, because the theater of the mind is a lot more powerful than anything I could say or do.
And what do you mean exactly by theater of the mind?
By asking the audience questions, by having them go through exercises. So they are actually creating the content, if you will, in their mind's eye. So instead of explaining something to them, I may give a little preface to it. Then I said, okay, I want you to pair up with a partner and discuss how would you go about applying that in your life. And that's it. They're going to use their mind, their ideas, much more powerful than I could ever come up with. And then I'll come back and say, okay, who would like to share? And then I feed off of that. I'll do questions and comments. And then I do this little thing that's unique to my template, which is value statements. In other words, we'll actually tell the audience, do you see how valuable that is? And that builds into the process of going to the bookstore. I don't call it the close, I call it the bookstore.
The bookstore.
The bookstore, yeah. This is where we're gonna ask for the money.
Oh, I see.
We got to ask for the money, right?
Bookstores have disappeared, so when you said bookstore, I was.
Well, I guess I should say the e-library.
Yeah, Amazon or
exactly.
Remember bookstores? I mean, I do.
What is that?
Remember
That's
libraries?
true. I never thought of that.
Yeah, I remember libraries too. So I can see that this is highly interactive, and you really involve the audience. And just one more question before we go here. Just got another minute, but do you believe in sort of moving around the room, or are there other ways of connecting with the audience besides, drawing them into it and being interactive?
For me, I don't even like a stage. I like to be on the same level that people walk out into the audience. But before people start jogging around the audience, we have to understand that you have to move with purpose. So if there's a point or if there's something that I want the audience to get, I will definitely stand still and I will connect with them, not only physically, but with eye contact, with my tone of voice, because that definitely helps with the message.
I see.
And so every place has a point of where to move.
So not just random movement, but
definitely
movement
not
with
random
purpose.
movement
So
with
how
purpose.
can people get in touch with you?
Well, simply I invite them to join me on my website, MauriceDiMino.com, or if they want, they can visit me at killfromthestage.com, and there they'll get a free gift.
Remember that one?
Yes, definitely, Kill from the Stage.
And do you have any speaking engagements coming up, or any workshops? Or
what I have coming up is, as I say, twice a year I do my intensive Discover Your $1 Million Message, and you can find that at discoveryourmilliondollarmessage.com, and that's every spring and fall right here in the Los Angeles area. So I invite everyone to come check out. What I like to say, join the family, join the Sicilian family, definitely at MauriceDiMino.com.
Oh, well, you're really great. I think we have a sample of what you're like. And
well, the audience must have liked it. There's the applause.
Yeah.
Thank you, Professore.
It's captivating. I've learned a lot.
My pleasure, Jean-Noel.
Thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you.
So we're going to take a break, and our next guest is going to be Hidi Lee, and she has a great book called, I got to get the right title here, Almost Naked, and it's all about lingerie, everything that you wanted to know. Now, this is not her subtitle, but I'm saying it sounds to me like this book covers everything you ever wanted to know about lingerie, but we're afraid to ask, right? So, so Hidi will be joining us in just a couple of minutes. So stay tuned to the Book Beat here at LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
Hey, this your girl, Paris, straight from the Cousins, and you can join us every Monday at 8 p.m. Here live, bring you some great entertainment for those ears, exclusively on latalklive.com. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Elena, inviting you to join me every Wednesday at noon for Elena's Beauty Talk and more, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream.tv. Reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, this is Dawn Christie inviting you to join me every Friday, 1 p.m. Pacific, for my all-new show, The Dawn Christie Show. Join me as I discuss love, spiritual readings, your purpose, why am I born, what am I here to do. So don't forget to tune in The Dawn Christie Show at 1 p.m. Pacific, exclusively on LA Talk Live. You can also catch us on iTunes Radio R&B or watch us on Ustream TV, reality radio, handcrafted for your listening pleasure. This is LA Talk Live, and we are more than just talk.
Hi, and welcome back to the Book Beat. I'm Jean-Noel Bassior, and my next guest is Hidi Lee, and she is the author of Almost Naked, Lingerie, The Secret of the Guilty Pleasure. Right? Did I get that right? Secret of the Guilty Pleasure. So, of course, I have to ask you the obvious question. How did you get so interested in lingerie?
Well, I actually studied fashion design when I was in the university, and very soon I discovered that I really in love with lingerie. I have many reasons for that. First of all, fashion is something that you put on top of your body. And I love lingerie because it is like a foundation of your whole body. It reconstructs your body. It helps in your gesture. It helps on lingerie actually nip, tuck, squeeze to to whatever format that you want it to be.
Well, it's true. I remember my grandmother slipping into these really tight corsets, and I guess in those days, I mean, today we wouldn't really do that much, right?
Well, I guess we do, but less in the,
but everybody did then, right?
Not so painful degree.
Yeah, but it seemed really painful. So
to a certain degree, you have to sacrifice for beauty. It's building your foundation.
Well, you say that lingerie reveals the mystery of being human. What do you mean by that?
Well, I mean that lingerie not only is just physical, what I just talked about, how it do the secret foundation of your body, but it also reveals your inner self, how you perceive of yourself. Because I remember very well my classmate who studied fashion design, when they realized that I want to go to the lingerie industry, they were very surprised. I'm the only one. They said, "What are you going to do with it? It's a free triangle and nobody see it." And actually, everyone see it because the one who wear it, she knew it. It is a little secret between you and your lingerie. And believe me or not, if you feel good about your body, that is a very basic core to be successful in anything, whether your relations, your career, anything.
So you're saying that actually our lingerie, if we feel really good, if it makes us feel really good, makes us feel really good about ourselves.
Yeah.
So that's kind of our secret. We're walking around, but we're feeling really good.
Yes.
And we know, just whatever we have to do to get that feeling, right?
It's
So
the
it's-
self-esteem issue. How much do you worth yourself? Believe me, if you wear something nice and you really pamper yourself, the whole day you feel good, you feel worthy, you feel confidence, and that's the core of being successful.
So it can change because you also say that it can change you both physically and mentally,
Yeah,
right? So
mentally
that's what
it's a
you mean.
big
Yeah.
thing.
And you grew up in Hong Kong,
Yes,
right?
I was born and raised in Hong Kong.
And you speak several languages, right?
I speak Cantonese, English, and Italian.
Oh, really?
Yes.
and you're friends with a Sicilian mentor. We understand.
That is after that.
That's
Actually,
fortunate.
when I was in Hong Kong, I studied Italian.
Mm.
So I started to learn Italian, and then after that, I got a scholarship, and so I was in Italy too. And then after that, I do live in Italy, and I work in Italy. Actually, everywhere I go, I've been to everywhere already, and I always work as a lingerie designer. After Hong Kong, I moved to Italy, and then I moved to Canada, and then I live in Ohio, and right now I'm in Los Angeles for 10 years.
Oh, okay. So when you started getting into designing lingerie, was there anything that you did that was different that hadn't been done before, or did you just what kind of how did you go about designing? Did you have new designs or just?
Yes, of course, as an employee, we have to work with the label.
I
work
see.
with the label that my company
So you're working for a
produced.
company, okay.
Yeah, working for the company. So it fits who is your client, or who are they, what is the budget, how do they want to look like. So, and I look at the market, what is the trend, and then how do we fit those trend and put it into a new collection that fit for, because it's like 6 months. It's lingerie is the same as fashion. It goes 6 months, spring, summer, fall, winter. So we have our season.
So
It's
the
a
seasons,
rotation.
right,
Yes.
right.
Yeah.
And of course, we know that maybe about 20 years ago, sort of like lingerie became outerwear, right?
Yeah,
Didn't
yeah.
it? Talk about that change. What happened?
Well, yes. I don't know if Madonna is the
Madonna
first
was-
one,
yeah.
but she's a big one.
One of the first,
Yeah,
right?
yeah. So in her tour, she did Jean Paul Gaultier with the cone corset, and that is really making a big change.
Huge.
And also, I think it's the same simultaneous period that a lot of the designer, they use the inspiration from street fashion, so which is really coming not from the couture down to the average people, but also is really coming from the average street culture.
Yeah, up
Yeah.
to the couture, maybe.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
like interacting.
But that was a huge change, right? All of a
Yes.
sudden, people were walking around. You were going, wait a minute.
Yes.
I think we used to wear that underneath, but now we're wearing it over, right?
Yeah,
So-
actually, in my book, Almost Naked, this book,
Yeah.
I have a chapter we talk about lingerie as an outerwear too, like outerwear, innerwear. And a while ago, we women, we don't show our bra strap, right?
Right, exactly.
It's not good.
Right.
But it become a trend, and then there are shoulder straps, so many details. It's supposed to show, because why do you put so many rhinestones, sequins, glitter on the shoulder strap? Because they were meant to be shown. And also the G-string is showing when the low-rise jeans and show the string, it is also
So now it's okay.
meant to be seen.
Yeah. So everything has really changed a lot in the last,
Yes.
10,
Yes.
20 years,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
Right. And so it's so much more, there's so much more freedom. You can express yourself so much more, right?
Yeah.
Now, do you think that what about age and lingerie? Like, for example, so let's say that somebody grew up in the age where you were not supposed to show your bra strap or your slip. What if the hem of the slip was showing? It's like, oh my God, that was like horrible. Your slip is showing,
Yeah, not
and yet
anymore.
there's a lot of women who so now what can they do? Like, are there any rules like about being appropriate, age appropriate, or?
Well, actually, a lot of the fashion, not just lingerie, but also fashion, right now, a lot of the women in certain age, they wouldn't wear as like their parents, like their mothers are wearing,
Right.
because they consider that would be very, very old, and I will wear like this. It's kind of blend in. A lot of the details or colors or silhouette, the older woman can still use at is really timeless. It's really how you look for the clothes that fit your body and fit your personality. It's very important because no one will wear the same outfit and perform the same look and the personality, because the personality are very different. The way how you talk, the way how you walk is different. Even you, if you're wearing the same outfit, right?
True. So if a woman's in her 40s or 50s or 60s or even beyond, are there ways they can express themselves, do you think, through lingerie?
Well, I actually have a workshop called To Be Your Own Image Consultant, and this is the workshop that help you to discover your own fashion DNA. And I have a big sessions that I share with my client that there is a rule that when you go shopping, there is a 70-30 rule. 70 is when you invest most of your 70% of the money of your budget on the classic, timeless pieces. When 30% of your budget spent on the trendy, upbeat trendy clothes to accessorize so that you don't look outdated.
Now you're talking about just fashion in general, not just a lingerie budget, right?
Fashion and lingerie is the same. So when I say timeless, so those are in lingerie interpret as basic style. And the 30% that I said trendy clothes, it interpret to some fun, flirty lingerie or sleepwear, loungewear, like that.
And you want it to last because it's expensive, right? So the 70%, I mean, you just really have to know what you're doing when you buy it, right?
And also do invest on lingerie. As I said, lingerie is your building core. You want to build up a good posture first so that whatever you put on top, you will look good.
Good foundation. So what other things do you cover in your book?
About Almost Naked?
Yeah.
This is a book I have been in the industry for 24 years. So I combine psychology, history, sociology, because I believe that lingerie can fire up a relations, whether it is a relations between you and your partner or a relations between you and yourself. As I said, the mindset.
Yeah.
How you treat yourself. So this is really important in a relations.
So give us some tips. Like, let's say that somebody's not feeling great about themselves, okay? And so they're listening to you and they're going like, I know, I'm going to go out. I'm going to go to Nordstrom or someplace, right? I'm going to buy some great lingerie. So what would you tell them to shop for?
Well, if it is they don't feel good about themselves, really, I don't know what is their closet do they have. Do they have some basic, really good fit well? First of all, you have to have a good measurement, knowing what size you are. 80% of the women are wearing a wrong size bra. So
really?
Yes, it's a big thing. So you have to really understand what size you are and get the right size bra, because it starts from the basic. And then let's say you have all these basic lingerie that can build up a good posture, but then you still have to buy some fun piece, dirty piece, so you feel attractive. You feel very sexy. So that is very important, because once you feel good about yourself, you even walk nicer, your chin up, your shoulder back. You feel more confident and sexy.
It's a great reminder, because sometimes, we go to shop for lingerie and it's kind of like something we have to do.
Yeah.
So I can't wear that bra another day because it's falling apart, so we don't think of also buying something that's really just, for fun, or just makes us feel good.
Yeah. And I also heard that there is a lot of entrepreneur women, they are stay-at-home mom. They think that they don't have to go out, so they dress very sloppy. And that is not good. Once the lingerie is worn out, you should throw it away, get a new one.
But people don't. How come you think they don't? We do hold on to things, we hold on to it way too long, don't we?
Should stop it.
But there's something about it, it's like, this was expensive. I don't know if I can really throw it out, or.
Well, I just share with somebody in the older generation, like my parents' generation, it is a saying that the women, they will hold on a piece of new lingerie, very nice. They will not wear it. They save it in the drawer. They said that when I go to the heaven, I will want this piece. And don't wait.
Wow.
Yes, it is in the older generation. They
Really?
do that. A lot of the women, they do that.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what about women in their 40s, 50s? What do you find? Are there any kind of peculiar little habits that they have about lingerie that you think that, you know, they could let go of? Or, you know, have you seen them holding on to things or not shopping often enough for it?
Oh,
or?
absolutely. Women go through so many different stages in their life, from when they are a girl, turn into a woman, get married, have kids, the body change dramatically, the size change, and then go to aging. But some people it's not even aging. Some people, when they have medical problem, they have to take medication, and they change a lot in their body shape. And if they don't remeasure, and they will get into a wrong size bra, and it's dramatically change the way how you look.
And you have to ask for help sometimes with the fitting, don't you? You should
Yes.
trust, you know, I read that once, that a lot of women really should go into the department store
Yes.
and actually ask the salesperson, because they're used to it, aren't they?
Yes,
Helping
yes.
people.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
should have the knowledge to know how to measure you. So once you get measure, you will get a right size bra, and I would say every 2 years you should remeasure it.
Really, every 2 years.
Every 2 years.
And how often do you think, I've heard something like, don't wear a bra 2 days in a row, or you should just, is that true?
Yes, because you stress the band,
Mhm.
so it let it relax. So you cannot wear it in a row.
So
like
give your
that.
lingerie a vacation, right?
Yes.
So any more tips that you find that women just don't know? It's like that we should know that.
I think that when I first met people and when I tell them that I'm a lingerie designer, they always say, "Oh, too bad I don't have a husband. Too bad I don't have a boyfriend." And I said, "Really? You can't dress for yourself?" And that is not right, because you deserve to treat yourself
I see.
the best, not because of your man. The
Yeah.
moment after you treat yourself right, your man will come.
Yeah, and that's the real secret, isn't it?
Exactly.
Yeah. Very inspiring. Thank you.
you.
Thank you so much for being a guest. Hold up your book one more time.
Yes.
It's called, say the title again.
Almost Naked.
Almost Naked. Okay.
Lingerie Secret of the Guilty Pleasure.
Okay, and you can get it on Amazon, right?
Yes, Amazon.
Thank you so much. So
Thank you, Jean-Noel.
to Heidi Lee. So next week we are going to have, let's see, I have to find my notes here. Our guest expert is going to be Amanda Johnson, and she is a book coach. She actually calls herself a transformational message coach, so we're going to find out what that's about. And we have Rachel Carew, who is a recovering perfectionist. If that sounds very interesting, I think I've been there and am there. And Tom Quinn, and he's written a book called What Do You Do with a Chocolate Jesus? And this is the Christian history that they did not teach you in Sunday school. So that should be interesting. So thank you so much for joining us today, and please tune in. It's in the archives. The show will be archived by LA Talk Live, and we will be featuring experts to help you write your own book as the weeks progress. So this has been the Book Beat on LA Talk Live, where we're more than just talk.
We know there are many choices in internet radio, and the staff and host of LA Talk Live would like to thank you for choosing the internet's hottest destination for the most eclectic sound and invigorating talk. This is LA Talk Live. We are more than just talk.